Greetings, viewers. Welcome to the 15 Minutes of Flame show, where we set the news on fire every day. Or that is, we report on the fire in the news. Oh, look. Things here haven't changed a lot again. And I see the reporting nationally has picked up just a little bit. It's in competition with floods in Maryland and such, and hurricanes, coming, and tornadoes, but they have covered a bit more because we had a lava lake bust out over here and it just flowed out, and now I believe we're at 92 homes gone. It's really starting to add up. Initially it was a small number, but we're approaching 100 houses. That's pretty good impact here. I have not called my friend down there by lava trees this morning yet, and I have to. I'm going to do this because they closed the road going into his house, 132. He's a couple driveways down towards the ocean there from Pahiki Road, and what I'm more worried about is not so much his life and his health. I'm very concerned about the fact that he's an exotic tree grower. The gentleman's a farmer, and crops are dying all over Lower Puna. The gases are what's doing it. The sulfur dioxide, SO2, is literally just exterminating plant material. Lawns, trees, forests, it doesn't really matter. Orchid farms, and in his case, it's an exotic tree farm. Had a lot of stock there, and I know he had clients for it too, and a lot of the stuff was really large and really old, and so it had quite a value. I'd have been more than willing to let him bring it up here, but I know he evacuated the animals from the farm, his expensive machinery, packed all his stuff, and so he had it ready there, but I guess it probably was just going to write off the trees. So that also brings to mind, I was reading in our local paper here yesterday, Ken Love, one of our island fruit experts. Ken's got videos on YouTube. You want to see some really good fruit videos here on the island. Ken's are better than mine even. Yeah, they're good. No, he's quite the expert. Anyway, Ken was reported, he lives over on the west side of the island, on the Kona side, and he reported fruit trees over there were suffering from the bog. The gases are sweeping up along the Kona side of the island after going by South Point. And he mentioned his chachara trees, the chacha, as I call it, are showing signs of damage, and a couple of other crops over there. And this morning I noticed, as they showed the air quality monitoring for the island, that there is a red alert down in Lower Puna, around Leilani Estates and all that, and that's been that way. There's nothing new about that one. The gas there will kill you if you get into it for too long. But it's been sweeping down around the bottom of the island, past South Point, and then natural convections or curves of the air here, whatever you want to call it, airflow, causes this stuff to sweep up the Kona coast. And I have long known that Kona was it's a place for bad air on the island, despite the fact on the Big Island it's the #1 tourist destination. It has some of the worst air on the island, except for right on the volcanoes and places. Air is awful in Kona. It's probably one of the reasons that I do not live on that side of the island. I can't breathe the air over there. But anyhow, they showed this morning that Kona had the same alert level as Leilani Estates. I mean, Kona's, 150 miles away. I'm throwing a number out here. I think I'm about 96 here from there. It's a good distance, but the way the air is moving, it's just as bad in Kona as it is in Leilani, and it's not as bad halfway in between for some reason. It's accumulating there. So that's bad, and if it gets that bad in Kona, we're going to start to see more crop damage. Right now, Kauai already is saying that there's going to be a taro shortage because of the floods there. So kalo, or the stuff we make poi out of here, is going to get a little rare. I'm worried about the papayas personally, because most of them are grown down in the region where all this gas is at, and the price of papayas, which for us here on the island are very, very cheap, they're going to start to get more expensive. Lucky for Bill, he's got his own, but not everybody does. So all that's an issue, but Kona is where most of the famous coffee comes from. Now I know Kau, K-A-U, where they have an outstanding grade of coffee. The Kau coffee is fabulous. It looks like they're getting more ash, which I don't think is quite as destructive to the crops. It's not a poisonous thing. But in Kona, they're getting an awful lot of the VOG, the volcanic gas emissions, and this could affect the coffee trees, and so it could make Kona coffee a scarce commodity. It was a mess. It's really a mess. You know, it's like I said, it's 90 some houses, 92, I think I said, that's gone now, and so a lot of property is destroyed. People are displaced, and so on. But the economic impact to the farmer on this island is going to be very significant. It doesn't appear that this is going to stop anytime soon. Pele shows no signs of letting up here. It appears that things are going to keep going, and I'm the one who'd speculated some time ago the possibility that the new Pu'u, the new volcano in the chain, that Pu'u'o'o could be replaced by what I'm calling Pu'u'leilani. That's not funny, really, because it really is building up down there. And, well, I guess the geologists this morning actually broached the possibility. They're saying it's kind of remote. A few things are going to happen before that's really could be possible, but it is now considered a possibility. The latest new volcano in the whole Hawaiian Island chain might pop up right in the middle of what was a housing development. I mean, that is totally bizarre. But when it comes to plants, my plant material is still in excellent condition here. We are not having any concerns with the air. Any problems we've had with a little bit of sulfur that does get in the air is only once in a while when the wind swings wrong. It blows out of here very quickly, and there's never been enough of it to really harm anything. And so we're doing good. We got plants. My nursery's open. Of course, people losing plants on the island right now are not going to be shopping or looking for these things, but it appears that I am not only in a good position on the island, but because I have plant material and everything's dying, there'll probably be better demand for what I've got here. So it's they've had to do some emergency evacuations, lava lakes that build up. This is where the fissures produce this lava, and the stuff just floods out kind of in a flat plain around it, but then it dikes up around the edges, and so it'll build up well above the surrounding territory. But then when the dike breaks, whoo-hoo-hoo, the stuff just comes rolling out of there, and this is some pretty fluid lava, and so it just came and it just rolled, and that's why they shut off Highway 132. It's because of some of the stuff rolling out of there. They had to get people out of the area. I understand there was a gentleman who did not want to leave his property. It was all he had. He didn't feel he had any place to go, so he stayed with the home, only to watch his home be burned down by this, escaped to the neighbor's house, which had been abandoned, and the lava came, burned that house down, and so he escaped to the garage. And I guess he spent 12 days out there trapped, surrounded by lava flows, couldn't get out. Until somebody from the National Guard and a helicopter spotted him and they brought him out. You know, it just goes to show you, I don't think that there's any material possession worth your life. You know, you can replace cars, you can replace anything. I mean, you can't replace a loved one. All right, a life, you can't really replace that, but anything else. And of course, staying with it, if it's going to be destroyed, it doesn't do any good anyhow. Obviously, he was an exception. I believe he's the only one so far that they've had to do this for, because he refused to get out of there. Yeah, I don't have any new footage of the stuff. We looked last night at the glow down here in the southeast, and hadn't changed too much, and it wasn't as dramatic as previous photos anyway. Although Haley Mau, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm not going to call it Haley Mau, it blew up several times during the night. There's been a bunch of earthquakes, 4.5 I believe, just a whole lots and lots of them. We are lucky here that we only felt maybe one of them barely. I was up standing in the kitchen. I did not feel or hear anything. Ellen, sitting in a wood chair across the room, did. So it was pretty subtle, but she felt it shaking. I guess we had a 12,000 foot ejection of ash, and then followed by a 15,000 foot ejection. It just keeps going on and on and on. And Hele Mau, that was at one time a very spectacular lava display. You've seen my old videos of the lava lakes and the spattering and all that. I mean, it was, and truly, when it was molten lava, it was safe for tourists to be, within a mile or a mile and a half of this stuff. Just sit there and go, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, look at that. And it was no problem. But once the lava disappeared, and we end up with this whole groundwater falling in on magma thing, it's like, that kind of changes everything, and nobody can go near it anymore. It's off limits, the park's shut, and it just constantly producing clouds of ash. Nobody knows when it's going to stop. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to go back into my favorite national park or not. It's a tough call. Not sure. And right there, I would like to say something about the human viewpoint on life. 20th century, I grew up with, during 20th century, and we were really trained that science is going to save us. We had this belief in our knowledge, technology, understanding, and so on. We'd be able to overcome nature. Yeah, we'd be the masters of this planet and so on. That was very much a mindset. It's still somewhat of a mindset, but I tell you, situations like this here on this island, get over it, folks. When the world decides to flip, it's going to flip, and you're done for. You can believe in the rapture or whatever you want to believe in as far as what's going to save me when the end times come. But, generally, most of us are just going to drop dead. And we won't be able to stop it. The world's in control. The earth is its own thing. We live on it. But, frankly, watching all this, realize we're in this little thin crust that's on top, a molten ball of liquid rock and metal. I mean, especially right here, not far below my feet. It's just, 2,000 degree hot rock that'll boil up in the middle of your driveway. Well, it's actually like that almost everywhere on the planet. It's, deeper, shallower, so on. But we're living on a hot ember sitting out here in space. It's very weird. So one of the fissures down in Leilani Estates has been producing Pele's hair. This is a rather unusual material. It's a glass fiber. It looks like golden hairs, but it's not soft. It's very, very scratchy. It's abrasive. You don't want to breathe it. It's a little bit like fiberglass, strands of literally drawn out glass, volcanic glass. And the Civil Defense is warning us that if it gets on your windshield as you're driving, do not turn on the wipers because it will scratch the glass all up. I am familiar with the material. I've seen it up in the national park on display, with the museums and such. Occasionally I found a strand or two of it here or there as I was walking around lava flows, but I've never experienced a large amount of this stuff. Apparently they're getting an awful lot of it down there, and it's far more abrasive and dangerous to surfaces than I ever realized. There's one thing I could say about this entire experience, other being somewhat interesting, is that I did study volcanism and Hawaiian volcanoes in college geology class, and so I guess I got a basis, a ground floor for a little bit of this stuff, so I'm not completely ignorant. But and I learned more about volcanoes, lava, eruptions, and other phenomena associated with it in the last 3 weeks since this started that I knew in my whole life before. I'm going to become a minor shade tree volcano expert before all this stuff is over. What do you know? You learn something new every day.